everyone. Thanks for
Hello.
joining the Me series. We have a really muhiba panel of guests today for our discussion. Today's topic, this is our episode 9 already. So it's time passes so fast, right, Cheryl? So
Very.
today's topic, we had the title is My Two Cents, saving for a rainy day. And today's topic is really interesting because I've been trying to talk about this topic for quite some time. It's just that we couldn't find the best panel. So today, finally, we get the best panels to talk about our discussion today. So we understand that throughout this whole situation of COVID, pandemic, economic, it's a slow turn in terms of situation-wise basis, and we are now currently facing towards a recovery stage right now. So I think this is really a really good time for us to discuss about how how is everyone doing and going through in terms of the financial planning part of it. So today our guest, we have three wonderful guests and our dear co-host Cheryl as well. So we have Hazrina, Dr. Khoong, and Jacqueline with us. So maybe we can have them to introduce themselves a little bit. Maybe we start with Hazrina. Hello, Hazrina.
Hi, good evening and assalamualaikum everybody. Yes, my name is Hazrina Johari. I'm currently teaching in MMU in the area of economics. So I hope today I can share a little bit of, some of my experience as well as my knowledge with everyone on financial planning as well as the economy a little bit. Okay?
Yay, thank you,
Thank you.
Hazrina. Right, Dr. Kong, would you like to introduce yourself a little bit?
Okay, hi everyone. I'm just call me Kong with you, okay, basically. So I'm also currently I'm a senior lecturer definitely. So before I'm academician, I'm practicing financial planning. So I hope that I can give you some idea what is financial planning and see how we can do it basically. Thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Kong. Thank you. And finally, we have uh, Jacqueline. Mr. Jacqueline, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi everyone, my name is Jack. Okay, please do not call me Jacqueline, even though my surname is Lin. Okay,
Okay.
so I am not a full-time lecturer. I'm just a part-time lecturer in the area of financial planning as well as finance. So what my job is basically to financial planning. So I've been in this industry for more than 20 years. Okay,
Mm.
dealing with financial planning. That's why I can share with you some of the information that I have here. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much, everyone, for your time. Thank you so much. So, we're going to start with our questions already. Are you excited? I know you guys are very worried. I do not know why you are worried, but yes. Um, first things first. So far, I think you guys are doing well right now. I believe. And since you guys are experts in this, I think it's very good for us to see that perhaps you can share a little bit about so far right now. How has your expenditure trend been changing from beginning when the MCO started until current situation? Do you see there's a pattern of changes, and how much has it changed from your side personally? Maybe we can start with Jack first.
Okay.
How has your expenditure as well as your financial trend be changed
Yeah.
from MCO time until now?
So I thought I will be the last one to talk about it, and in fact, you have picked me, so I have no choice but to share. Yeah, as
Don't
the
worry, I
first
already
one
said
to share.
everyone will have an opportunity to answer. Don't worry.
Okay, talk about this expenditure trend. I believe most of the people, not only myself, has changed drastically. Not a mild change, basically, is a drastic change,
Yeah.
whereby the spending patterns has changed. For example, when we talk about consumptions of foods and everything, so normally we do not dine out now, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
in fact, we save a lot of money actually.
Yeah.
Just because of dining in. So we cook at home. Basically, this is the areas that we save quite a lot. Of course, number two, when talk about the spending on the petrol. So basically, for me, I spend much lesser as compared to last time. We travel a lot. Last time we have to go to the university, go and see the clients. And
Yeah.
now, there's new situations. In fact, we can do everything online. So this is a
Yeah.
new trend whereby everybody must adopt, and I believe, and this is one of the advantage of having the advancements of technology. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
So,
true. That's true.
mhm.
Yeah, that's how I feel as well. Because I feel that there's because of the lockdown period, there are actually less frequency of going out. So less frequency of going out. Actually, we have less spending time. But then again, of course, there could be a little bit of changes in terms of um expenditure wise visit. Maybe I hear from Khoong's side first. How has it changed from your side?
Yeah. I agree with what Jack said basically. So my expenditure definitely decreased in terms of no transportation because the petrol usage is reducing definitely basically. But however, no, they have also something threat is coming up because I spend a lot for my internet, especially for digitization basically. So I bought a lot of electronic things to support whatever I need because I have to work at home, work from home basically. So might be they have a pro and cons definitely, but from my view of cons, we try to be spend at what we need to instead of we try to spend on what we want in this point of time basically. See? Thank you.
That's a very long-winded, but I'm quite curious. What have you been spending on so far, Kong?
Okay, basically, you see, most of my time is already located in the family basically, in my house basically, right? So
Yes.
whatever my spend is, definitely is focusing on my own family basically. So I
Oh.
have my, yeah, my spouse, my dependents, and my parents is here. So whatever my spend is definitely
Oh.
try. The most important thing is try to fulfill the necessary first, the need first.
Mm-hmm.
Then we try
Mm-mm.
to see whatever thing that we should try to accommodate what the ones coming in the next second point period.
I see.
So this is normally
Yeah.
yeah, food, basically there's a more basic thing, and a lot of food, definitely. And
A
we
lot
try
of
to
food. Yes.
cook
Yeah,
yeah,
cooking
we
as
can't
well. Yeah, that's
yeah, so
definitely something that we think about spending. I think Hazrina can definitely relate to this because when you have more family staying at home and you basically have kids, and then you need to prepare meals, you need to cook more because usually, when you're out, you're working, you tend to eat outside during lunchtime. But now 3 meals you're cooking at home because most of the family stays at home generally, and also perhaps less frequency of going out means, you need to probably spend more in terms of grocery shopping as well. So, Hazrina, how has it changed in terms of your expenditure-wise basis?
Yes, thank you, Xiao Xian. Actually, I myself also, on the other hand, we are reducing cost in terms of, not eating out, in terms of
Yeah.
traveling to work and so on. But as a woman, right, as a mom, it's a little bit different
Yeah.
because,
Yeah.
yes, we do save on food and so on, but the non-economic activity, or shall we say, unpaid job, right, like cooking and cleaning and so on, that is an extra job for us moms, where we have to put more effort at home, in terms of taking care of the family and ensuring that we can also, go to work from home and things like that. So this is actually
I love that you brought that up, Hasrina. The non-paid jobs that people don't count as,
Exactly. So, from a financial or monetary perspective, it seems that it is cheaper, yes, but for a person that's cooking, for a person that's doing all the cleaning, we're not being paid for doing such jobs. So, this is actually an extra job that we need to put in and also ensure that we can work in the office. I mean, work from home, right, and perform.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, from a monetary perspective, it is cheaper.
Yeah.
But then, like me myself, I have kids who go to a nursery. So they used to go to
Yeah.
nursery before the MCO. So after
Mm.
the nursery, after the MCO, the kids do not go to nursery, but the school still impose a payment. So we still have to pay the
Oh.
school, yes, because they claim that they have fixed costs to pay, like rental, transportation of the buses and so on, right?
Oh
So
my.
for us parents, we are still paying. So I think the
Oh.
relief Yes, yes. So the relief that we get is actually more on like from the government in terms of
Yeah,
loan payment, right? In
yeah,
terms of especially higher purchase and then our mortgage. I think that's a big help from the government.
mm,
But in
yes,
terms of our own financial expenses, school, kids' school, and then we have more electricity bills to pay, more water bills to pay as well. So that's additional. So plus minus, I think
mm.
more or less it's about the same. Mm,
Mm. Oh, I
yeah.
see. Thanks so much, Hazrina. Yes, you really did share a very important point here as well, because when you stay at home, your water bill, your electricity bills really will spike up more. Especially your
Mm.
internet bills, I think is also spiking up a lot as well, because you need to work from home, you need to connect, and that's also additional things that you need to top up for it as well. And I
Yeah.
didn't know
this
about,
this
yeah,
truly impacts those who don't have Wi-Fi connections, because we have colleagues at work who are not used to working from home, right? They work only at the office, especially our foreign
yeah,
colleagues, so they have to use their data. So this is
mm,
extremely a lot of data, especially if they are lecturers. They are doing live classes.
right,
I mean, you guys know, right, how much of data that actually can take away from you. And now you're using the data for so many different things,
yeah,
especially if you're doing things like that. If not, we assume that everyone has internet at home, because some of us do, but
yeah,
that's not the situation, right? So it can make
exactly,
very expensive, especially if you're using data. It can make it extremely expensive. so
yeah,
so I think
I
that's also
agree
an
to
added
Mm.
that,
cost.
yeah.
Yes, yes.
That,
That is in terms of work, right? Sorry.
no,
That
it's
is in
okay,
terms of
continue.
work, right? But
Yeah.
for children as well, they have, schools and they have homework given by the teacher. They have Google Meet classroom. Like my daughter, she has a
Ah.
morning session. My
Yeah, yeah,
son is
yeah.
evening session. So technically, the whole day I need to use internet service. So that's
Kong,
extra, that's additional
Kong,
services that we need.
Kong, I know that he has a kid. You have one. How many kids you have, Kong?
Seems a bit personal here, but we'll try.
And you have to talk about
Yeah,
official and unofficial, official, right?
Official,
oh,
unofficial.
this is live,
Whichever
right?
the,
Live, right?
whichever the,
Okay,
uh,
live. Yeah, I
Jack,
have
do you
my
have
yeah.
kids as well? You have kids as well,
Yes, yes,
Jack?
yeah, yes, but I have official, but no unofficial, yeah.
So you do, I think you all, as parents as well, you understand as well in terms of your expenditure for your, for your children as well, monitoring them, they have to go online for attend classes. And I've not heard, this is for the first time I've actually heard, sorry, because I have no kids, so I wasn't aware about it, but I didn't know that you still have to pay for your fees, even though they are not going physically to classes. That was the part that I was quite surprised, that you still need to pay for it as well. And like you see, transportation fees and stuff like that, that you still have to maintain it. So that was something that I've not really thought about. But something that perhaps the other of our two daddies here can share about, like, is there also same case with your side as well, that in terms of kids wise, you still have to pay for school fees even though they are not going physically to schools?
Okay, same here. I agree with what Hazrina has mentioned. Basically,
Yeah.
for me, both of my kids are just studying in an international school. Basically,
Ah,
you still have to pay for it. So in
yes,
this case, in fact, the school is so-called kind enough to reduce about 10% of about or to be exact, it's about 14% of the school fees. So that we,
that's
in fact, we're still paying quite a lot, quite
yeah.
substantial.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because it's international schools that understand, but at least they reduce 14%. That's something lah, right?
Yes,
Kong,
yes.
anything?
Yeah, yeah. So my children said yeah, send yeah, schooling time, but government school, not the for international school, but the daycare, yes, he still impose the payment to us. So but the
But
reducing
daycare
of
not open yet, right? Is
what?
it open already? Daycare is open
But they
already.
still pay because for the online classes, right? They still conduct the online classes, basically.
Oh,
So yeah,
wow.
then we have to support them with all the electronic laptop, basically, all the
Yeah,
earphones,
correct.
basically.
Yeah.
So yeah, I brought it. I think yes, because all this while I really seldom have a lot of data. I don't have my just I don't have the unlimited package of that. But because of this situation, I had to have all this convenience for the classes to be conducted, basically. So yeah, a lot of electronics money being spent in electronic things, and also some of fees are decreasing about maybe 20 or 30% basically, but we still paid for the fees basically.
This is something that I want to add on to as well, but I'm not too sure whether does this actually apply to you, or because I've been hearing a lot of my friends who's currently working in corporate. They have had phases, they have certain phases that they are going through, especially in terms of their remuneration, their salary wise basis, because especially during the MCO time, in order to sustain the business of the company, they will probably ask to have a pay cut. And this is something that I've heard a lot of my friends are facing as well, like from 20%, sometimes to even 50% of pay cut, just to ensure that to sustain the business that's running, while they're working from home. Is that affecting you all during that time as well? Did your monthly income being affected in that way?
Uh, might
Um,
be because might be I
yeah,
just have a bit sharing here. This
yeah,
I'm talking about in a general perspective, more on an
yeah.
individual personal basis, because I'm just creating. Just nice that I'm doing a bit of research on the SME basically. So might be a bit of information on this.
Wow.
Take notes
Wow.
for this.
Kong
So
actually
as a
come prepared,
response,
I know.
no,
Social
no,
scientist.
just nice.
Yeah.
No, like just nice. I'm doing the research basically. Then I
Yes,
just
yes.
just finished the guest lecture also. I just presented some of the
Ah,
thing, but I want to share
that's
a bit
good.
here
Yes, that's
with
good.
you.
Please do share. Please do share.
But so yeah, from the empirical, just a small study, they found that a lot of company really have liquidation issues nowadays, basically, and the owner do not have a choice to 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 lay off the employee. No, instead
Mm,
of they're going to be bankrupt soon, so no choice.
mm.
They have to either they give you a choice whether you want to reduce your salary in form of percentage, or maybe you want to you die, I die, bankrupt
Yeah,
basically. So in
yeah.
some of them, most of the company no choice, and no sub and the staff no choice, giving no choice, and accept the reductions on the salary. I agree with you said just now. So we have a reductions about 20% up to 50. I even see ones about 70%, which is basically.
Wow,
So it's
70%.
quite
Wow.
heavy. And this is so we got no
Yeah,
choice, and someone have to take a leave. Yeah. So basically,
yeah.
so it's quite
I
heavy
see.
for this staff employee. If you understand that basically,
True,
but
true.
no
So that is
that
why, so that is
no choice.
also, yeah, so that is definitely something that's why we had today's show as well, because I would love to hear from your side. What do you think, especially for those who are currently facing through situation like this when they have a cut in terms of their salary wise basis, some even job losses. How is there any suggestions or ways that you think that they can plan themselves in order for them to sustain themselves before they are able to move on to or secure themselves in any other ways possible. Maybe you guys can give some advice towards this, like Jack, would you like to try on to this question?
Yeah,
What do you
definitely.
think?
Yeah. So if we are talking about those people who are having a problem now, they have financial issues, right? Honestly think that this is too late for them to plan. Okay, and
Oh,
it's the time for them to seek for help. Okay, for
yeah.
example, if they are not able to serve their repayment, so of
Mm.
course now we have car loans and of course the other loan, which is your
Yes.
housing loan that you don't have to pay because of the moratorium. So thanks
Mm.
to the government. But of course,
Mm.
we have others loan, which is, for example, you have outstanding credit cards or you have others loan you need to serve. So in this case, right, you will have no choice but to seek for help, be it from your family members. Okay, that is the easiest one. Then please do
Mm.
not go to this alone. Yeah, that is the advice that we always give it to
Yeah,
the
definitely that is not the choice that we are asking them to look into. But
so
of course, any other matters to look how alternative ways to see. Yeah.
now we are talking about those people who have problems, right? Of course, first to
Yes.
seek help from the family members. Now, some
Yeah.
alternate, they can always seek for help from the government. I believe now
Mm.
government has this agency which is known as AKPK. They are doing a great job before people of us or Malaysians going for bankruptcy or insolvency. They can always seek for help to go to this AKPK. So this is the
Mm,
government agencies whereby they are able to help those people to restructure their loans instead of paying for 10,000 or 20,000 per annum per month. So now after the restructures, they might only have to pay for about 5,000, which is much lower than their monthly repayment. So that is one way of helping those people who are in need of help. Okay, at
mm,
this current time. But of course, if you're
mm,
talking about those who have they have no issue, no concern, but still impacted from this COVID-19. So, for
yep.
example, if have just experienced some pay cut, so I believe these are people who will not be impacted so much. Okay, the negative impact is not so much as compared to those who have already got a huge problem. Okay,
Yes.
so
Yes.
these people, of course, what they can do is to reduce their expenses by spending less. Okay, you cannot just go according to what normally you do. So you have
Mm,
to list down your expenses, list down income. In the financial planning perspective, we are talking about to access your current situations by looking at your income and expenses. Okay, so look at your financial statement, income and expenses, and make sure you have a surplus when it comes to your cash flow analysis. And that is the fundamental and the basic of financial planning. Yeah.
wow. Wow. Thank you, Jack. That really helps. The suggestion that you're saying about the government who's helping out in terms of the loan wise, basically, is it called AKPK?
Yeah, AKPK, yeah.
Okay, that is something that is worth noting about. Hasrina, anything to share about this then? From your point of view, what do you think in terms of this, like, shift in terms of salary wise basis? How do you think that they are able to cope? Because I think Jack also covered some parts where they say that if they have loans, especially when they have commitments like car loans and house loans and stuff like that, some if you have a 50%, and even I can hear from Khoong's side there, he says like 70% of cut, it's kind of a huge amount for them to actually sustain from it. So besides help from the government incentives, is there any other ways you can suggest in terms of helping financial planning wise?
Yes. Okay, thank you, Xian. It's actually a very good question. I agree with Mr. Jack. He mentioned about AKPK, right? AKPK is not only available during the COVID-19 pandemic period, but it's also available throughout, the whole year, right? Normally, they can even identify people who are somewhat in a financial management problem. They can even call up and talk to you whether you need help, so they can give you some sort of solution to your problem, right? And this actually reduces a lot of burden on our shoulder. So instead of, like, for example, paying a lump sum of 5,000, like Mr. Jack mentioned, right, monthly, we can reduce that to a different number, which is lower and it's more affordable. So, like, people who are earning lesser than what they normally earn in a month, this can be a big help. So one is AKPK, and then we have the government as well. The government has given a lot of incentives. So I urge a lot our Malaysians to take advantage of all these benefits given by the government. So, for example, for individuals, we have this moratorium for hire purchase and mortgage, and then people who can take out the EPF, people who can take out their retirement as well, PRS, right, private retirement scheme. Without
PRS,
any
yeah.
penalty. Normally, if we take out our PRS scheme before retirement, we have to be penalized. We will be penalized. But this time around, because of the COVID-19 pandemic, the government has given some sort of lax so that we can withdraw, I think, about 1,500 without any penalty. So that is also another way to help us to survive. So this is one way to do it. So EPF, as well as retirement scheme, the private retirement scheme, whatever support given by the government. For example, we have the Prihatin Rakyat Economic Stimulus Package, right?
Yep.
Given to
Yep.
normally B40, but now we also have the BM40 as well. So
Mhm.
B40, M40, given all these benefits, take advantage of it wherever it is applicable to us, right? Not everybody will be able to receive this kind of benefit from the government, but if we can,
Yep.
why not take advantage of it, right?
Yeah,
Uh,
that's very good. That's very good suggestion. That really helps actually.
Yeah, that really helps actually. I myself, whatever that I can grab from the government, why not? I will try, right? Because we don't know what is
Yeah,
going to happen in the future. We don't
true.
know how long we can survive for the next
Yeah,
few months.
yeah.
So just take advantage of it and minimize whatever cost that we can from our from our side. Yeah.
Okay, this is going to be a trick question, I know, because I've actually asked before this question to some of my friends, if when they were offering it that time, and I was kind of curious, like, should I or should I not take it? Because remember, I think Jack actually mentioned about the moratorium, the auto moratorium thing, where they say that at during that period of time of 3 months, I think I'm not too sure, 2 months or 3 months, they say you don't have to pay for your car loan and your house loan first, just to ease up the burden in terms of your monetary wise basis. And I've actually asked a lot of my friends to say that, should I take up that offer or should I not take up that offer? What do you think? Khoong, do you have any suggestion for that? What do you think? Should we take up that offer or should we not take up that offer?
Okay, such a nice question, basically, such a nice question to share, basically, this information. Okay,
Do you
you
want the
see,
real answer
okay,
or the coward
first, before
answer?
we want to go for further, might be,
It's your personal opinion. What do you think? Yeah.
that's why, okay, they have a two side of coin. I mean, they almost have two side of this basically, right? So if you think of, no, let me summarize whatever just now Hasrina and Jack, they have a very good point basically over there. You see, we don't want to go for the most extreme that we don't want to go for a very difficult situation, going for the bankrupt and illiquidity,
Yeah.
you being an illiquid situation, you don't want to go there. But
Yeah.
what we want to do for in terms of yourself might be for individuals might be you want to look at your position now basically might be you want to
Mm,
restructure your financial planning your
mm,
situation now basically okay
mm,
so if you can control whatever your expenses why not basically
mm.
instead of we know that reductions of a salary is a tough time we know every crisis
Yeah.
we know is a very tough time I think
Yeah.
Hasrina and Jack I think some of you we also go through I think the last crisis is 2008. We go through that, and we experience it basically, and we know how tough. But definitely this will be more tough, right? I believe so.
Yes.
This crisis, but we learn some lesson there. We learn some lesson there basically. But we try to try to cover up as much we can get this we want to be basically. So coming to your question, let me see what
Yes.
I'm asking. For the car, yes. I mean, if you can restructure your plan, your finance
Yes.
situation, where you can able to still can able to pay it. Okay,
Yeah.
why you still want to drag? I mean, do you want to take? I mean, from the 7 years, you want to drag until 9 years? Do you want it? Just asking
Oh,
yourself whether this. Yeah.
okay.
You want
Because
it? If you want it,
if
then but unless your situation allows you to do that. If not, then no choice. You better just drag your extend your current basis.
yeah, because I
Yeah,
think a
nobody
lot of
want to
time,
take debt is
yeah,
there definitely, but just that
Yeah.
whether you how long
definitely. You want to do. So because I think
that's
definitely this is a misconception that a lot of people have. When they say that
Yeah.
you don't have to pay your loan during that time, a lot of them thought that I don't have to pay my loan. They never thought that actually it's a postponing of your loan. It's not saying you're not paying for it.
But
It's
the
just you are
interest is still
postponing
running,
it.
right?
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't I personally, I'm not a finance person, okay,
Yeah.
obviously, and I
Clearly
don't get
I
it.
have not
So
ever.
I started messaging Hasrina, I started messaging all my friends who know about finance, economics, and asking them, what is going to be the repercussions, because I'm always cautious, right, when it comes to money stuff. I'm not so good at all that. So that's why we have y'all here. I actually asked because I felt that it's too good to be true. For them to just delay the loan like that, and especially for a bank institution, they're not a charity, right? So why are they doing that? It's definitely repercussions. But like Kong said, right, if you don't have a choice at the point of time and you don't have money to give, of course that is a better option compared to
Yeah.
paying.
Yes.
If it was a normal circumstances, it'd be worse. Of course, interest is keeps on going, but if you have a choice, then I feel, I'm still paying it anyway, because I
Yeah.
felt that I don't want to increase and have debt later on and have higher, when your interest accrues is even worse, and you don't know if you'll be able to pay it. So if you're having a steady income and you still can pay it, then you will. But like Xiaosan says, a lot of us might not know about it. You're not so well aware, or you might
Yeah.
not understand the calculations and things like that. So I think that's why it's important to hear from people like you guys. And if the audience is listening and you're not aware of things like this, every time there's so-called a stimulus package, I always say ask questions. Always ask questions. Ask the people. If you don't know, ask someone else, because if not, you put yourself in a position, because ignorance, right, is not an excuse for you to get off the hook on things like this. You will still have to pay, and you will incur more debt than you know, and it will come hitting you when you don't realize it. So I think for those of us who are not so savvy financially, right, that's something to think about, to really really ask questions and listen. uh, Watch, there's so many webinars for offer now. You can actually listen, speak to people who are well aware of things like that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. And also, I also noticed there's a certain kind of trend, because I hear a lot of you were saying that, okay, besides getting groceries, preparing for your meals at home, because your family are staying more at home and less frequency of going out. Surprisingly, you did mention that the expenditure wise basis, it still remains the same. Like nothing has lessened or nothing has changed in most of the way. May I ask this? Do you actually tend to spend more online now? Spending online
Good
during this
question.
time? Jack, do you tend to spend more online now?
Okay, to be honest with you, I don't like to buy things online. Yeah, so I'm actually a
Ooh.
very type of person whereby I want to feel it, I want to touch it, yeah, I want to
Yeah.
see it, yeah. So that
Yeah, but
is
what if we
my,
can't go out, and buy it? So,
that's the reason why I will leave this important task to my wife. Okay, so I will let her know this is what I want, and you just go and do a shopping. And she liked it so much. She's enjoying spending it. Because just by using a piece of the plastic card, right, you can do wonders. So that's the reason. I think but, yeah, she's not here. It's okay. Yeah. Okay.
have
So
you checked your statement in your credit card? Do you see any changes in terms of that white spaces?
yeah, but she is quite savvy also because if you
Ah.
mix around with those people who are savvy,
Mm.
savvy like me, okay, then of course I think everybody we are very cautious when it comes to money. We spend only if necessarily.
Yeah.
We don't spend
Mm.
extra. But yeah, some of the expensive items we will buy also. Unlike I mean, provided we really need to use it. Okay, so
Mm.
that
Mm.
is that is how we spend. The spending pattern is very important. If you have inculcate a good habits of savings by not overspend. We are not spending. Basically, we are safe. So we always wanted to see we have savings every month. At the end of the month, we have to look at it. Okay, we have extra money. We have extra money, and that is what
Yeah.
we meant by savings ratio. By looking at your savings ratio per month. So in a
Mm.
finance perspective, we have this ratio analysis. One of the ratio analysis, basically, we are talking about the savings ratio. So we are
Mm.
talking about at least have a 15% of savings out of our gross income, not net
Mm.
income. Is that is basically gross income. For
Yeah.
example, you are earning 100,000 per annum, so at least you must save up to 15,000. That is gross. Before minus your whatever expenses or mandatory expenses such as your EPF and your tax. So that is
Mm.
the minimum guideline. Okay.
Cheryl, something to take note of. So when you calculate your income part, you have to check up in terms of the savings part every month. Impossible 15% gross income.
I
Ah.
don't I don't think that ever happens on my monthly salary normally, but I feel that because of COVID, to be very honest, I am able to do savings now. But previously, I wasn't able to because of petrol toll, those kind of things, the cost of
Yeah.
traveling, right? But now
Yeah.
I am able to save compared to before, not having to travel to work. But I think another good point is, right, during the COVID situation, especially in the beginning when it was quite bad, and I think at one point, where I live in actually Sendayan in Seremban, right? It became a red zone because my next taman um, had a COVID case. So at that point of time, a lot of us are afraid. I used to go out for groceries and things like that. So that there came a point where we didn't have the option, or we were advised against leaving the house completely, right? So we had to buy groceries. And I was telling Xiao San this, at one point I bought fruits for about 120 ringgit or 30 ringgit, and it was barely a few different fruits, and usually I would buy the same thing for like 30-40 ringgit. So it was like a huge, and also I ordered groceries like wet food, like chicken and things like that from the market, and the cost was way higher than what I usually do in my normal groceries. So for circumstances like that, right, where they don't really have a choice, they have to buy, and being in the area that I am, you don't have much offers or much service providers in regards to delivery services where I live anyway, because where I live is not central Seremban, it's like a bit out, so you can't really get there's choices of deliveries, so you are kind of limited to certain monopolies of deliveries during this time. So if unless you want to risk it and go out, and a lot of us like me, I mean, I have a kid, so at that point of time I was like,
Mm.
okay, to save a few bucks, you go out and then you put yourself in danger kind of thing. So I decided to buy online, and I really felt the pinch in terms of the money going out when I bought groceries online. One, maybe because of the limit. So what about in cases like that where you don't have a choice and you have to buy online, up
Yes.
to your groceries and things like that? Won't that really drastically increase your expenditure?
Hazrina, what do you think? Hazrina?
Is she frozen?
Carol and our fellow colleagues mentioning about all these expenses and stuff. I've actually
Online
taken up
purchase.
online purchase. I myself,
Yes.
to be honest, I cannot avoid myself from doing online purchase. Sometimes things.
So Jack, I
Uh,
think your wife is like Hazrina, I think.
you know why? Because we are the moms at home. So sometimes,
Ah,
things which are not necessities on normal days become necessities during MCO. For example,
ah,
my kids are at home 24 hours, so they get restless very easy. So what do we do?
yeah,
Sometimes I what I did was, one of the things I bought for them was a big pool. So
yeah,
they can swim. So they
that's
can
it.
swim, and that's how it fulfills their time. So that's spending. It's not
Yes,
really spending
yes,
on myself. It's more for the family. And
yeah,
then some of the basic necessities, because we cook every day, things wear out. So we need to buy more. More of our basic necessities at home for the kitchen and
yes,
so on. Because
yes,
previously we used to eat outside, the kids
yeah,
used to eat outside at school, right? So now, because everybody is stuck at home, we have to find ways to make sure that everything is available at home. And then for some families, they don't have enough computers to ensure that kids can go to school online, Google Meet, so they need to purchase an additional laptop and so on. So these are additional costs, and
yeah,
it's a few hundreds may add up to a few thousand. So that
yeah.
would be additional, right? And I actually just wanted to respond to the savings that Mr. Jack and Cheryl mentioned earlier. Yeah, sometimes some of us are lucky enough we can make savings, right, based on our monthly income. If it's a fixed income and we have additional amount that we can actually save. But I believe some Malaysians are struggling a bit more, where they rely on their monthly or even sometimes weekly income, daily income, to ensure that their daily necessities are met. So in cases like this where people cannot save, it will be very difficult for them during MCO, especially if it's for a few months we were at home. Some people work on a daily basis where they receive income on a daily basis. So
Yes,
where savings are a bit difficult, to achieve. So this is where we try our best to take whatever benefits that are given by the government and the NGOs and so on. And if we can savings, another point I'd like to add and share, maybe savings in a form of the most liquid form. That means you can convert your investment or your savings into cash or into a form where you can immediately spend it. Because sometimes we do
mm,
investment like buying a house, right? If you buy a house, that
yeah,
will take a lot
yeah,
of time. It's not liquid enough for you to, liquidize within a day's time or a month's time. So maybe you can have a savings account or tabung haji or ASB or whatever account that is easily to liquidize. So in
mm,
terms of whenever you have a pandemic like this, in emergencies like this, where you need to withdraw cash, the available cash is there, right?
mm,
So these are some of the things that you might want to consider when you do savings, even though it's a small amount, but a small
yeah,
amount might help in times like this.
yeah,
So I myself experienced this during this period of
yeah,
3 months, right? Whatever savings that I have in the most liquid form, that would be the first source of fund that I would go and reach out to in order for me to spend. Because then there will be no penalty. It will not take days for me to, or months for me to withdraw and so on. So that actually helps a lot.
Hazrina, I just want to check, since you buy groceries, because I know you're a working mommy, so you do really need to take note about things like this. Do you notice that the prices have actually increased
Oh
in
yes,
terms of
definitely.
groceries
Yeah,
wise basis?
definitely. Yeah, groceries have gone up much more, and then we have delivery costs to pay for. Right.
Yeah.
Normally we will just go and buy. We will go and save. We could actually save a lot on the cost, especially. So when we buy online, they will charge according to the weight of the items that we buy, delivery, and so on. And then sometimes, like Cheryl mentioned, the things that we want to buy are not according to our expectation.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're not in good condition. If you buy all these wet products, right? Wet market products like chicken and fish, you just have to, accept whatever that they sell, whatever that they send to us. Yeah, some can be bad, some can be good because we don't have the choice. So that's also additional cost because if it doesn't work out well, if the food is not good, then we have to throw them away. I've experienced that too. So
Yeah, I know.
it's also additional cost to our expenses.
Oh, what is the most expensive thing you actually bought online during this time?
Online.
So again, I'm going to summarize what they talk, then it will be easy for me. Okay. Okay.
I'm just
Okay.
curious.
That's a good
I don't know,
question.
like me.
It's very good.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah,
Hazrina,
Dr.
go ahead.
Khoong, would you like to share?
Yeah.
Okay, basically, come on. Oh, so, yeah. Again, it's just nice. Your topic is fantastic, man. I just have some data here, then we can share this with. Okay,
Okay.
I mean,
Okay.
More
my team,
data.
Please give us
me and
data.
team, we just have a small research on it. So we found out that we try to categorize of the generation X, Y, and baby boomer basically,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
basically we talk about those who are Gen Y and baby boomers, then there are for those who are a bit elderly basically. And definitely the acceptance of the online is can't really. If you talk about for my mom, those are baby boomer, no, you don't tell me what is online. Definitely, I think they don't accept it. They'll prefer just go to the market and buy something, right? This is them,
True.
this is
True.
them, basically, right?
True. But during
So,
such situation, they
right,
have
yeah.
to
So,
learn,
but,
right?
yeah, they can't even though I mean some of my relatives, those who are baby boomer, they can't accept it. What is
Yeah.
COVID-19? Go up lah. They can't accept. I mean, I believe for us, for the first few days or first week, we don't know what it is, right? We don't feel the critical areas of the COVID virus. We don't know.
Yeah.
Until that they have some data shows that how many people admit to the hospital, then so there how many people being die, basically then we know what. So this is a serious cases because we never
Correct.
experienced uh yeah all these cases. So definitely for myself, I believe that I am in between. Oh, don't guess my age basically. Don't guess my age basically. So I am in between the Gen X and Y. So that's the best thing that I can see the trend, the change of the trend. Okay.
Yes,
So
I
in
believe
terms of
you're in that
accept,
part. You're in that part. Yeah.
thank you. Coffee on me next time.
Thank you.
That's true, Dr.
Oh,
Khoong.
thank
I agree
you.
with you. This
Yeah.
generation today is very different. But I think even as children to baby boomers and all, I think we have actually infected our parents in such a way that they are also now, moving towards that direction. So during this MCO, I shared with my parents. I did go to the white market once or twice, but
Yeah.
very minimal. And most of the time, we can actually order for them as well. We can order online and deliver to them. So now my parents, whether my parents or my in-laws, they know how to order online and deliver. And then once in a while they'll come to my house and say, "Hey, I bought things online and I bought food for you as well." You see, so I
I
think
need
they
to
have
share
become
this.
very savvy
Yeah,
nowadays.
I need to share this. Like same with Hazrina as well. I just want to inform you. My parents. Okay, during this time, okay, she literally, my mom, she was tuning on TV. Those go shop kind of thing that
Oh
is
yes.
shopping online kind of thing. You call them and then you get it. She literally ordered, I think, 3 to 4 new kitchen equipment. Just during this 3 months of MCO, she have ordered 3 to 4 new equipment. So I think the expenditure actually increases for my parents, who it's their first time trying to order things online, and they tend to get a bit hooked to it. So Khoong, I think you have to be careful. I think you have yet to introduce your parents to go for online ordering, so maybe they might get hooked to it as well, you know.
Yeah, I think yeah, but since this is their generation, it's hard to pursue them. They try to influence them basically. Even though sometimes I tell you, the acceptance for me in online is also it's just in the borderline. I tell you. But since they have a no choice in this crisis, I mean, I believe every crisis will make people change their mind.
Yes,
So
that's true.
Yes,
for me, I
yes.
prefer to have go out and touch the thing and buy the shirt basically. But since we have no choice during a crisis, I have to buy online definitely. I have a lot
Yeah,
of accounts. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
So Khoong, what
So,
have you?
but however,
What is the most
but
expensive you have
the
spent online?
He still hasn't answered you.
Exactly, that's my question.
yeah,
I'll please answer the question, okay?
Yeah.
I told you it's the initial at the initial of the I think initially I just tell you it's more to electronic thing because I have to provide the support for my children to study, right? So yeah,
Oh,
laptop.
oh yeah.
But they provide it. So got no choice. I contact the person that I said I will go and buy the laptop, electronic things. They know they are not working, so I got no choice. I have to get it from somewhere else. Basically. So yeah, I bought it.
Mm,
So the
mm.
data.
Yeah, I believe electronic suppliers are gaining a lot of
Electronics, right?
income this time around. Huh?
Yes,
I
yes.
Yes.
myself, I bought a freezer.
Depends
I
on
need
the scope.
a space, so I bought a freezer just for COVID-19.
Wow.
Oh,
Yeah, my
Yeah,
mom. Yeah, my mom bought. I think what was that? What's that called? The pressure cooker. She was very happy because it's like I can cook anything at home.
yeah, because we're
Everything
cooking
warms up
like
and just cook it, right?
yeah, we're
Yeah.
cooking
after
like
the crisis,
every few
everybody will be
hours.
a chef. Everybody will be a chef after this
Yes,
But
I
I
know what you're
think,
saying.
right, this this circumstances that we are all in is very idealistic because we are middle class, right? We are
Mm.
considered middle
Yeah.
class, so
Yes.
we still have
Mm,
that
We are in the
option of
sandwich
money
generation
coming
is
in.
very tribal.
We
Yeah.
still have that money coming in on a monthly basis, or we still have some cash
mm,
flow. But there are a lot of people, like Hashina was mentioning, you have this daily income where, say, if you're a construction worker, you're not working anymore. If you're working in the like in farming and things like that, you're not allowed to
Agriculture.
operate. If you're working in
mm.
Those
factories,
for my
you're not.
entertainment still not working yet. Yeah. Entertainment
Then you
industry is
have
not working yet.
even the artists, they are also not working anymore, so if they don't have the savings and things like that, this can be. But I mean, what can we do to generate some form of income? Or because saving, like what Jack said earlier, you must have a certain amount of saving to begin with, right? It's not like suddenly
Mm,
this happens and then, like, okay, I'm going to save. If you have no income, there's nothing to save, right? I mean, what can we do? What can we do right now? I mean, for me, when COVID first hit, I don't know what to expect, and I think in India we are quite lucky because our pay has been good, still on time. Okay, so far so good. We are very very lucky. So, but before all these things happened and before we had a clear direction, I was thinking like, okay, don't know next month we're going to get pay or not. Don't know whether we still have a job because circumstances were quite bad at that point of time when COVID first hit us, right? We don't know what's going to happen. And I believe for me, I just kept all my money. I didn't want to use even a cent except for like groceries. And there was a point I'm learning how to cook dishes which is the cheapest that I can cook. Okay, at one point I was just being very careful about things like that. So I can just imagine, right, the people who are struggling or don't have food because during the last economic recession, I remember when I went to the shops to buy food, I remember one lady was telling me, one Malay lady was telling me, her children just eat rice and ketchup because that was how
mm,
bad circumstances are for them, and they don't have the ability to buy. And as you said, right, groceries are expensive. So what else can we do to get some form of income if we are cut off from
Mm,
income? Is there any
mm.
way, anything we can do, small maybe, to actually generate some form of income?
Jack, any suggestion?
Yeah, of course, if you ask me, I have this suggestion. Yeah. Okay. So what happens here is we can actually, of course, first thing first, you have to know what is your skill. Okay, what type of skill set you have. If you are
Yeah.
Mm,
a lecturer, I believe there are many ways of for the lecturer, like Dr. Kong, as well as Cheryl to make and Hazina to make money because you can give some talks. Okay, so people needs that. Okay, there's a demand, huge demand when it comes to this part. So, of course, that is your skill set. What about those people who doesn't have this skill set? Then you have to know what you are good at. Okay, from there, you can just source out for something that you can do, okay, based on the skill set. If you totally do not have a skill, basically what you can do is learn to obtain some skills. For example, now I can see a lot of people starting going online, okay, to sell something. So if not taking enough, okay, you put in more efforts just to go online and sell, put your stuff, okay, put your things to sell it online. Basically, you can still make some money out of it. Don't talk about becoming rich, but you still can get some income out of this avenue. So that is what we need to do. But of course, a lot of people they don't want to do that because this is something that not familiar to them, and therefore they are still uh, um, living in the comfort zone and not able to go out or get out from their comfort zone. So that's why now it's time for us to change. If you do not have skill set, build some skill set. If you are
Mm,
not willing to do that, you must do it now in order to enhance your income.
mm,
And I can see, I know some people who's my friend. My friend actually did that. Okay, she went online and just to sell some small little things, 5 ringgit, 10 ringgit, right? Every transaction only make about 50 cents, but she's willing to do that. Go all
mm,
the post office and to go to send all this stuff, and at the end of the day, one day is only making about 50 to 100 ringgit. She is
Yeah.
satisfied. She is happy with that, and that is
mm.
how we need to change, right? So people are talking about new norm. We have to
Yeah.
change according to the new norm based on the current situation.
Yeah, so basically developing new skill sets, or if not, try to sell something online. Perhaps they'll be able to help to add on, like what Hazrina has suggested, liquidifying your money in order so that you can get it easier and faster in a way. Yeah. Kong, any other suggestions? Would you like to add? Kong is frozen.
I think necessity is the mother of invention, right? Like Jack said, if you're pushed to a point where you have no choice, then you will eventually
Okay,
have to
yeah.
do something, right?
Yeah,
Oh, he's back.
I know that, yeah, can you listen? Yeah,
Yes.
okay, sorry.
Yeah. Go ahead, go.
Doctor, your turn, doctor.
Can
Oh,
you
yeah.
hear us?
Okay. Yeah, I think you're asking about, yeah, yeah, good. It's a good question, basically. Okay. I mean, as I mentioned before that they have two ways to actually to know if you are disciplined enough, you can control your expenses. But however, since that your expenses still there, that's you cannot be what some of the car loan and housing loan, your basic necessity is there, and you're thinking about that your money is not enough. You know that not sufficient. Definitely, it's not sufficient to cover your basics, and you got no. But in fact, you got no choice, and might be you want to diversify whatever your current your skill that you have to generate more income basically instead of taking no choice basically. But I agree with Mr. Jack says that whatever skill you have now, this is time that you will show it off to the world basically you can do it.
Mm,
I have a lot of yeah, you can tap with so many online platform that you can know maybe your baking skill or your cooking skill might be the best time that you can show the world that you have this, and might be, yeah, they maybe generate some profit for you basically instead of you just
yeah.
so depend on the. I know that you might be can depend on the government, but there might be a limited situations there. How long will
Mm,
you can sustain in that situation?
yeah.
Maybe you want to build a long-term sustainability for yourself. Maybe you want to build another diversify whatever your income, few sources for you. Might be in another crisis you are fine basically. This is what I agree with Mr. Chair basically.
Yeah, I
Okay,
noticed
thank
as well.
you.
It's actually a trend as well. Like one of our colleague, she stays in a neighborhood, and during the MCO time, right, she has been very active in Instagram, taking pictures of her daily meal, and a lot of meals she get. Like, oh, this is some don't know what lemang that she got somewhere, some rendang that she got somewhere. Then I was like, where the hell you get all these things from? She said, oh, my neighbors, this neighbor was so nice that she's giving some for us. This neighbor is so nice, she's selling it, some of that. So I think this is actually a way as well for them to start, developing their business skills, you know,
Yeah,
and
just
sharing it among the neighborhood. Like, you know, they cook something and then they sell it just around their neighborhood, you know, to give out to people, you know, to purchase it in a cheaper price. So you don't have to incur delivery fee, but at the same time, people get to try our food and you get to earn a little income out of it as well, right?
I think people are very supportive when it comes to if you're kind of trying out, especially when you're selling baking stuff, especially
just a
your
sharing,
circle
yeah,
of
just a
friends.
share, yeah,
Yeah.
just a sharing.
Yes, Kong, what's your sharing?
Yes, doctor. Please go ahead, doctor.
Yes.
Yeah, just be sharing here basically. So yeah, I've been I mean just this one of my friends or whatever you can tell is my client or whatever it is. So it's just that he have this app. No, there are so many apps that like say example if you're talking about one you deliver the food. So normally
Yeah.
we'll talk about the Grab, the food
Yeah.
and the Hungry. That's
Yeah.
what the
Yeah.
top three that's the food delivery basically. But the
Correct.
apps, I'm not promoting the map. Just that what the app's doing is he tried to generate those who are from cooking from the food from the home itself. So we link those who are food from the home and try to promote it and those apply it to those who want it basically. Instead of
Mm.
if you're talking about a Grab, it might be the only from the shop basically. So I've been watching this. This apps for 2 years. Initially when I look at this situation, the COVID-19, I looking at this app very detailed basically. Might be this is time can promote. Might be the booming time for this type of act so that it can help those who can show up their baking skill, whatever skill they can.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah,
Yeah, that's true, right? Making use of your skill as well as resources that are
yeah,
available, right? I
yeah,
think
yeah.
some of
Continue.
us as well, some of us have the resources to help out in terms of transportation. I see
Mm.
that, some people have used their van or,
Hello,
MPVs to deliver
hello.
items and so on,
Yeah, this is what I want to
right?
share basically. So I got nothing else, but maybe you want to share other things basically.
Yep.
Mhm.
Cheryl, anything to add?
No, no, I'm fine.
Okay, this is another, I think, another interesting question, because we do talk about how utilizing our skills to, you know, try to add on money just to get additional money, you know, in order to survive better. What about, because at this time situation there are definitely a lot of people who's facing emotional issues as well, and one of the way, the outlet of you know, showcasing your emotions is spending. So there are people, they have emotional spending, and there are also probably people who have overspending because of stressful times. They tend to divert their attention and decide to spend more. So there could be possibilities like that. How do we manage things like that? What do you think? Any suggestions?
Dr. Kong, any suggestion?
Kong? Yeah. Any suggestion, Dr. Kong?
Why me again? Okay. Yeah. I can't say they are wrong. This is their attitude, right? This is their attitude. But I think, but I have this kind of client before. Definitely, I have met this kind of client. Say, I can't. I must spend. This is my attitude. Because
Yeah.
every month after I get my salary, I will compensate myself. Working so hard for 1 month, I will allocate some of the money to buy the clothes or food because I want to compensate myself. But we can't deny this attitude basically. But however, though, I use this method. I try to apply this method might be to the individuals like my client before might be can be. I'm not sure about that. Because but this is very hard basically. Yeah, I say that every time you use the money, use cash. Use cash. I
Oh.
use cash. Don't use credit card. Don't use debit card. You don't
Ah.
use whatever e-wallet you have.
Yeah.
Use money. Yeah, use cash
That's a
basically.
that's a
When
good
you
that's
see
a
your
good
cash,
tip.
Good point.
That's a good tip. Use cash,
you,
because once you run out of cash,
you
you see the physical part of it, then you realize that, okay, I think I maybe spent a bit too much now. Yeah.
But Dr. Kong,
Yeah.
yeah.
it
Yeah.
is not going to work in the futures because we are talking about a cashless society. So
Mm-hmm.
I think
Mm-hmm.
the government is actually trying to promote cashless, and
Mm.
that is
Yeah.
one
Yes.
of overcoming some of the problem, which is, for example, we have corruptions. So everything, if everything actually were to transact via online or via a platform, basically, it would be much easier for the governments to do something to track down or to track down all these corruptions, for example, or to minimize or to reduce some of the problem that we face currently. But having said that, I think I agree with what Dr. Kong has mentioned. So basically, talk about this cash, say you can just control. In fact, I came across some people. They did the same thing here. They use cash, but that is one way of controlling. But at the end of the day, your behavior is still the same. I don't think you go too long or too far. So what we
Mm,
need to do is based on this situation and based on just because of this COVID, the new norm, we have to try change our bad habit, and that is what we categorize under the bad habit. If
mm,
you are so spendthrift, you like to spend money without thinking, and this is
yeah,
the time for you to feel the pains, feel the pains, and you should try to change from now on. And this
mm,
is the time for us to learn a lesson, which is a very painful lesson. And
yeah,
for those who are reluctant to change, I believe they deserve to the consequences that they're going to face in the future. So
yeah.
that is what I think that we have to change, okay, from the bad habit, of course, and to the good habit from now, and start from now. Yeah.
Mm. Hazrina,
I
anything to add?
Yes, I agree. That's very true. It's a very good time for us to change our habits, especially
Yeah,
the bad ones to better ones, right?
yeah,
And in terms of upgrading our skills, in terms of not being picky,
yeah,
in choosing a job, that's very important because we see a lot of changes in Malaysians today where people are willing to accept jobs that they've never done before, jobs which are
yeah,
no longer glamorous, but they give you,
yeah,
it gives you a return, and
yeah.
it gives you, it puts money, it puts food on the table. So these are the things that we have learned from this pandemic. We have learned to survive and not rely on other people to to give to us in terms of money, in terms of food, and so on. So it's not just relying on the government, but we have to rely on ourselves. So all these habits in terms of savings, if we can, even though it's not a big amount, right? Some of us can save a lot, so that's extra, that's a bonus. But some of us are only able to save, let's say, for example, even 50 ringgit, 100 ringgit monthly. At least it's something, right? Something
Mm,
rather than nothing. So start small, take all the baby steps. Eventually we will learn to save and save ourselves in the future, because at the end of the day it's not about other people helping us. We have to save our own selves, right?
yeah, yeah, that's true.
I think that's a very great point, right? We have to save ourselves.
Self,
I think I think another simple example of how you can avoid from being so spendthrift, right? For me, what I do, I feel that if I take out more money, I will spend more money. And I mean, maybe this is psychological, right? If my 100 ringgit is broken up to 10 ringgit, 5 ringgit, I feel like the money goes out faster because you find it like small change, so you don't really feel it when it goes out. That's one. Two, for me, I have like a couple of saving accounts. So there's one account, once I put it in, I don't take out. So I have a HSBC account. Why I say that is because every time you take money from HSBC, they charge you 5 ringgit. So it's very painful to take out. So I put I put my money for like don't touch in HSBC. I only go there if like ultimate emergency, no choice. So every time I want to take out, I'll think twice. But if it's like 1 ringgit maps, 1 ringgit is nothing. So what I do is at the beginning of the month when I have to pay all my bills, that is the first thing I do. I pay every single bill I have. Before I even use anything, I pay all my bills. Then what is left, I take out and put like some savings. Whatever is the balance of that, then only I use. So that
mm,
one, I'm not so tricky about what happens with that money because I've already allocated to the necessary things I need for that month. And then I'm a bit more flexible with whatever's left in that account, which is not much.
yeah,
Yeah, but I think that kind of helps us be less spendthrift in a way because you're kind of controlling yourself and putting measures in place. Of course, I can still go to the bank, but technically I'm thinking like, yeah, it's so expensive. I have to pay 5 ringgit. So the stingy part of me is like, I don't want to take 5 ringgit. Every time I take out money from HSBC, I have to pay extra. So I will really be cautious about taking that money out. So for me, that works. So maybe those kind of measurements can actually help towards spending more, especially if you're more spendthrift, putting them in certain places where you can't access, or maybe putting that money, like I have insurance. Where you pay a monthly investment kind of system. So that way I know end of the day the 400 or 300 is going towards a savings. So I have somehow saved. I feel like I've somehow saved, even though
I
I
think
will not
this is
see that in 7 years
I think this
maybe,
is
but
very interesting. Maybe our three, experts here can have an idea or perhaps some suggestion on how, from Cheryl's trend of saving and spending, do you have any advice for her to maybe help her to improve in any ways possible? Because I think Cheryl's case is pretty interesting because she is considered the sole breadwinner
yeah.
for her family. So it's important for her to actually keep tab of her financial. So do you have any advice for Cheryl? How she do it? Since she's already shared with you her spending and her
Can I share?
saving trends, is there any tips that you can help her?
Can I share?
Thank you, Selsan. Thank you so
Yes,
much.
yes, yeah, yes.
Okay, Cheryl, I think one thing here you can do, which is much better than current what you are doing currently, is to, because since you are saying you can just put aside your money to somewhere which is not easily accessible. So my account number, later I will send you my account number. You can share.
That is
So
completely not accessible.
completely,
No,
yeah,
that one I
yeah.
think you'll just go to a black hole and disappear,
Never
Cheryl.
come back out. Yeah.
It never come back. You just go
Okay,
into some twilight zone that you have no idea about.
okay, now seriously, you see,
Yes, yes.
Cheryl just mentioned about this. You just take out or just spend all whatever necessities. Then subsequently you save the rest, right? There's another school of thought. Okay, there's another school of thought. Basically, the formulas in the financial planning. In the financial planning perspective, we have another formula which is your income minus your
Mm-hmm,
savings equals to your
mm-hmm,
expenses. I'm not sure whether you have
mm-hmm.
heard this. And Dr. Khoong can testify it because he's an expert in this financial planning. Yeah, doctorate in financial planning. Yeah, so basically we know, so he can testify this. And what it says here is, if we have income, we receive this 10,000 or 20,000 of income or 5,000 of income. First thing first, you have to pay yourself. What do you mean pay yourself? Basically, you have to save aside a portion of the money. So that is what we said, a mandatory or compulsory for you to pay for your future. So you are paying for your future and not for you today. And subsequently, whatever left over, then you can safely spend. Okay. So of course, there's one very well-known guru by the name of T. Half Acre. I'm not sure whether you have heard his name before or not. He's an international speaker. Basically, talk about financial planning, talk about how to save, how you save money. So he also mentioned one thing: you can spend money, but of course, you need to do some allocations. For example, you have out of 100% um, 100% of the monies you have. So you just have to allocate it 30% for saving and 30% for your fixed expenses. And of course, one thing I find it very T half acre, T half acre. So this I have this book here. I'm not sure where is this book. And he mentioned one thing, and I believe this is very very
That's why he
interesting.
can sit in front of the bookshelf. That is the reason why. So that he can just pluck book out from there and say, here, this is the example.
Yeah,
I like
and
that idea.
yeah,
Sorry, maybe
yeah.
you can,
So
Jack, maybe you
okay,
can you can repeat again the formula. You're saying income minus what? The
okay.
savings?
Okay, so the formulas will be income
Uh-huh.
minus savings equals
Uh-huh.
to expenses. So
Ah,
I repeat,
okay.
income minus savings equals to
Savings
expenses.
equals expenses. Interesting.
So according to this guy by the name of this guru by the name of T. Harpaker, he mentioned one
Mm.
thing which I like it so much. So he mentioned about these expenses, fixed expenses, you have to allocate a certain portion. And one portion which I think I like the most is to allocate 10% is
Mm-hmm.
your okay, the fund that allocated for you to spend. You can spend based on your life. Okay, you can just spend everything. That will be the allocations for money allocations for you. Be it a monthly or yearly. Just spend the money, okay? Because we sometimes we have to make ourselves happy. So psychologically, when most of the people, when they spend money, they feel happy. I'm not sure whether you are this type of person, but I realized this. People like to buy things. When they buy things, they feel so happy. Of course, at the end of the day, so when it comes to month end, so they will start to worry about next month. I'm not sure, but of course, people like to spend. They feel happy when they spend, and that is the general statement, which I think most people they fall in this category. So that's why you can actually allocate a certain portions for you to spend, okay, for you to spend without thinking, and that is what you can do right at this moment. Yeah.
Interesting.
I think I'm a
Cheryl?
very simple person. I'm not really a spender per se. My activities, I don't do the whole going out socially, movies, drinks and stuff. So my only like monthly expenses usually is just traveling to work and back. And my outing is going for groceries, which has been taken away by MCO. So I don't really spend a lot of money outside. So that's why I'm able to, I wouldn't say save, but I'm able to keep more money in my bank rather than out. But do I find happiness from spending? Not really, but unless I really want something, and I don't really want something very much, but when I want it and I get it, then obviously I'm very happy. But I'm not one of those typical women, the lipstick, handbags, sort of, need to have many handbags, many shoes. Hasrina and Selsa know me very well. I have one handbag until it completely dies. I have one shoe until it completely dies. So I don't spend very much, so it's not so hard. But like you said, the spending thing, I think previously it was very hard for me because my expenses, I think, was quite a bit. So the what's left over is like very little. But I think now is a little bit better, less expenses right now. Yeah.
Hazrina or Khoong, do you have anything to add on to help out with Cheryl's financial planning suggestions?
Now we have to change the show to Cheryl's financial planning.
I think
Thank you,
Cheryl,
Chelsea.
I personally think that Cheryl's financial planning is quite good actually, because from your income you've already deducted your monthly payments, obligations, everything, and then you have your own insurance, right? So all these basic necessities, in case if you fall sick, everything is covered. And then you have your expenses ready. I mean, I don't know if you all have read the recent, if you have heard of the recent statement by Datuk Sri Mustafa Mohamad from the PM's Department Economy. He mentioned about our economic recovery is actually quite okay, quite stable. It's just that Malaysians are taking it a bit slow because of to recover from their well-being. So some I don't know. I believe some of the Malaysians are having issues. Some might be depressed. Some might go into anxiety because of the MCO. Some of us are lucky because we have houses where we can go out. We have a lawn. We have a
Yes.
porch area. Some might live in flat houses and so on, and they have big families. So it does affect their well-being. So having a small amount of money set aside, for our expenses, for our to make us happy. I believe that is very important. Whether it's like myself, I'm just like Cheryl. I'm a minimalist. I don't buy handbags of different colors. I use the same handbag for all events. So so sometimes some people they like to invest in books. Some people they like to spend a bit more money on food. So I believe that is also very important. In managing our expenses. Yeah.
Mm, mm, mm. Anything to add, Khoong?
Dr. Kong?
Doctor? Doctor?
I don't know whether he's
Doctor?
dreaming or he's frozen.
I think
Anything to add, Doctor?
doctor's time lapse is a bit slow from ours. I do not know
Delayed.
from where he is hearing us from.
I believe the Sungai Longs with the signal is a bit weak there, so
Yeah.
that's why sometimes
Yeah.
we have to
You see,
bear
so
with it.
now it's coming back. Like it's coming back to me right now.
Yes, Doctor?
Yes.
Anything to add, Doctor? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for sharing. Okay.
This is the
No,
typical syndrome when students not paying
I
attention in class,
agree with what my so yeah, that's why Jack is my seafood. That's why I have to respect basically. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I agree with whatever Jack and Hasrina. I mean, I don't have no. I mean, we just have a very broad perspective view of the Cheryl, the one of the individuals. No, we're just talking the brief situations of Cheryl's situation. We just come a very just a broad conclusion. We can't go very specific basically. But in terms of whatever he's listened just now from whatever Cheryl gives the information we have. I believe that Cheryl is quite disciplined. I mean, most of the important in finance, we always work. The most worried thing I always when I meet my client, my new client, this is what my issues. If they have their own discipline, that's okay. You can follow whatever the plan that I provide for my client basically. But if not, then how basically? But in terms of Cheryl cases, I think yeah, the discipline is there. You know the importance of saving, so you just choose the bank that you mentioned just now instead of won't be take better now, better you control yourself instead of taking the money, because every time when you withdraw you charge you 5 ringgit. But there is one part of it, it's very money motivated. That's good actually, it's very good basically. And in terms of expenses, I think Cheryl from the one I understand is Cheryl. Okay, I respect you basically. But you're not spending, you're just spending unnecessary. I appreciate that, and you're not spending for those who are unnecessary. That is very good again basically. There's a second point for you basically. And might be in terms of liquidity, but Noreen just now I mentioned that might be, I'm not sure whether what is your buffer. We have in terms of financial planning perspective, definitely we have our you know our rule of thumbs. We hope that you have at least 6 months of your buffer if any emergency happens. So that, I mean, we can't predict, so 6 months is down the road,
Yeah.
but definitely is go through 12 months if possible you can have, so that you have a 6 month to 12 month liquidity emergency buffer if there is something happens. For example, in this COVID-19 pandemic crisis basically. So but in term of perspective, I think get just now I get some idea about your insurance. I think you have your being covers might be. I'm not sure about your coverage. I'm not promoting, but definitely need there. We know the insurance is part of that. But I
Yeah.
hope that you're covered enough, because you, as you mentioned, from what I was listening just now, you might be one of the breadwinner of your family. That's very important, and there's so many dependents on you. Where those your parents and also your children, and it's important to give them some security if something happens to you, basically. In terms of the last part might be I want to mention is about the investment planning, basically. Maybe I'm not sure about your investment portfolio, but if you, I mean, every time we even talk about investment, preferable you have your good foundations, that what I mentioned just now, the 6 month buffer, 12 month buffers, and also your insurance is there, your debt is covered. Then we go through about the investment. Then this will be a next discussion topic basically. Okay, but this
Wow,
might be some of
investment.
That's an
yeah.
interesting topic, actually, investment, right?
Yeah,
Maybe we should bring
yeah,
them in to talk about investment, and especially for beginners, right? How can they invest without, basically losing their entire life savings at one
yeah,
go?
yeah.
Like,
Because
for
Mr. Jack,
beginners.
Mr. Jack is
that was
tax
also one of
planning.
the
Mr. Jack
questions. That was also one of the questions I wanted to highlight, because when you talk about savings, right, a lot of people assume that if I save means, I just put money in bank, that's saving. But
Yeah.
perhaps you guys can actually advise on how exactly is the smart way of saving. Like, do I really have to throw all my eggs in one basket? So maybe, if you say put different eggs in different baskets, what are the other baskets that should I put into? So like one of the suggestion, like Kong was saying, is investment. Like, what kind of investment? If there is, should we, what form of investment do you think will be a safe way to do it? Kong, any
Can you
investment
address
suggestion?
that?
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
you're asking about me.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
think
yeah.
Mr. Jack in fact, Mr. Jack is in a very good position today, because he's the one, he's a trainer for investment basically. So yeah, I think,
Oh,
yeah, so yeah, I know basically. But
Guys,
whatever
any
I can
questions
just
y'all
give,
should ask right now? Investments.
yeah, because
yeah,
yeah, he's a
investment.
trainer. He's a trainer. He's a certified trainer. But whatever I just
Mm,
want to talk might be in terms of investment, the first ever best first ever first come in when you talk about investment is definitely about your risk tolerance. You can't run away. If you can't take that type of risk, then we're not going to talk further basically. Unless you are at that time of level risk tolerance level, then we want to talk about further about investment and the portfolio building basically. And might be the other thing with diversification, other things. And
mm,
Mr. Jack,
mm.
anything want to add? if I talk anything wrong
So I
for
think
investment trainers.
we are kind of wrapping up because we have taken almost an hour plus right now, but thank you so much because it has been very fruitful, today's discussion wise basis. Perhaps my last finalized wrap up of question for all of you. Perhaps each one of you can share a little bit about what is the suggestion that you would like to share to our viewers, like how can we plan better financially to survive for the second half of the year, because we're already now reaching half year already, so we have another half more year to go to see what's going to happen in future. So any suggestion that you would like to add on to our viewers out there to see how they can actually survive our next half of the year? Hazrina, would you like to start first?
Come on, girl power.
Hey.
Okay. I was just about to write. Okay. For the next half year, just a short one. I'll just summarize.
Yeah.
Maybe number one, improve on our savings.
Mm.
Right, if we can save more than what we have been saving previously, that would be a better practice. Number two, try to upgrade our skills with the available resources that we have, and learn not to be picky, right? Because
Yeah.
the more money that we can earn now, whenever we have the resources, whenever we have the skill and we have the health to do it now, because we don't know in the future. It's not just about pandemic. We might not be able to do anything, if we don't have the health, right? So
Yes.
this is the time to build your wealth. If you are able to get good insurance plan, the more the better. If you can do investments, whether it's a long-term investment, short-term investment, do it now whenever we can, because we don't know whether tomorrow is still available, whether tomorrow we will still be in good health in
Yeah.
order to survive, for the next 6 months, for the next how many years, we don't know. So
Yeah.
plan well and do not waste time. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Khoong, anything to add on, doctor? Doctor's time left.
Yes, doctor. Your turn, doctor. I like to tease him. Yeah. That's my
Okay, maybe
buddy.
I
Yeah.
move to Jack first. Jack, anything to add on?
Yes. Okay.
Okay.
Now
My
I
turn.
believe that yeah yeah when we're talking about the short term, I think we
Yeah.
run through the short term definitely. I
Yeah.
think I think we're successful here, then in terms of long short term for the MCO, I think this could go very, yeah, but for in terms of long, this medium term for this 6 months, I think sharpens your skill, so maybe more in opportunity in the future. So maybe try to continue your saving habits basically, maybe for long term
Mm,
basis.
mm,
Thank you.
mm. Yep. Jack, anything to add? Because I know if you say currently, if you want to start saving right now, it's a bit too late. So what about if for this past 6 months and then the next 6 months, what do you suggest that we should do then?
Yeah. In fact, I believe we have already mentioned that we should start doing something which we have not done before. For example, those who have not saved before or they have
Mm,
not started these savings, they should start from now on. Yeah.
mm.
So of course, that is the first thing, and the second thing is learn some new skill. That, just like what some of us have mentioned.
Hasina?
So if
Yep,
you could
yep.
just you have just mentioned about that, right? So
Yes.
yeah, you must learn some new skills so that I always believe if you learn something which is a skill which and you definitely other people cannot get grab away from you. So in this case, where you should have something which is for yourself, okay, knowledge is power. Knowledge is always power. So that's why to me, I personally think that upgrade your knowledge is one of the very
Mm,
important things that you have to do. Okay,
mm,
especially when it comes to investments. Okay, people always talking about investments, and I have students from the university has been asking me, okay, how to invest. So you see, even this group of people, the young people, they started to realize the importance of investment planning. So
yep.
invest in a very early stage. So as
Mm,
an adult like us, right, I think we should start learning or to learn how to invest our money by merely earning the 1.9% of F3 will not lead you anywhere. So what we need to do here is to learn a new skill by investing the money, and subsequently we will get higher than our inflation rate. What is the high inflation rate, and how many of us actually just really take this inflation rate seriously? So a lot of people also do not know what is the inflation and even until now. If we are
yep.
able, okay, if we are able to hedge against okay, put in somewhere which is able for us or unable for us to hedge against the inflation, which is better than application rate, and that will be the first thing that we have to do now. Make our money work harder than us. Okay, we don't
Mm,
want working so hard. In fact, we need
yeah,
to use some tools, which is our money, to work harder, okay, for us. Okay, they are there.
yeah,
We should be using tools, okay, to lead us to the place that we want to go, instead of we actually working so hard just to earn more money. We have to make our money work harder. So by
yeah,
way of having the financial knowledge or investment knowledge, where you should be able to get a reasonable return. Because if you look at the historical return for equity market, we are talking about stock market, right? So averagely over the 30 years of time, you should be able to get average of 10% of return per annum. Okay, you see, Dr. Kong is geometric mean. We are talking about compounded return. So it's not arithmetic. Basically, we're talking about this simple return. We are looking at the compounded returns of average 10%. And that is important. If you are able to generate a 10% of return, compounded return, that is fantastic. So whatever tools you have, if you use this a rule of 72, you know how long does it take, okay, for you to double your money. Say, for example, you have 300,000 or 100,000. For you to double your money, say, with the vehicle generating 10%, you only need to have 7.2 years for you to achieve that. And that is what we need to know. That is something that we should know as an investor, okay, to make our money work harder. And that is
mm.
my advice. Yeah.
Wow, very interesting. The rule of 72. Um, that is definitely something to think about because, sorry to say, I mean, we are not very financial savvy. That was something that probably we need to read up about it as well. General rule of 72. Very interesting. Thank you so much, everyone, for your time. And I'm really, really, I think we learned a lot. And I think you guys have helped us a lot and guide us a lot in terms of understanding wise on how to save up. And I truly hope that, our viewers here will be able to get something good out of this because I feel that we are definitely getting something out of this. Thank you so much for your time, and we will end this broadcast. Thank you very much. I shall see. Oh yes, next week, Cheryl. Next week, what are we going to do next week? What's your plan next week?
We actually have a Me series special. We are
Yay.
bringing Radhika Singham in at 8:30 at night, 24th of June. She's going to be talking about image and branding, but most importantly, she's going to be able to look at your profile picture on LinkedIn and tell you what are the colors that work for you. How can you brand yourself based on your personality from just what she sees? So it works even better if she knows you and she can have a call with you. But just based on your profile on LinkedIn, she can tell you what works for you, what can make you stand out, what can help you brand yourself better. I think she's one very interesting woman that I've met online during MCO. And her idea of, when you talk about image consultancy and things like that, usually you talk about how you dress and things like that, right? It's more on makeup, grooming, those kind of things. But she goes a step further to look at your personality, look at colors, look at how all those things combined actually uh, make you kind of reveal that brand of who you are, and let that translate through your clothes, your colors, your, how you portray yourself. So I thought it was very interesting, and I actually want to bring her in to talk about this on the 24th of June. So that's what's
Yeah.
coming up, and I hope you guys stay tuned to
Yeah.
the Me series. And this is a special series, and we are going to be taking two profiles and get her to go on live and talk about it as well. And I think
Right.
she's going to also look at Xiao San's profile.
Ayo, don't laugh. I think my profile needs a lot of fixing, man. But thank you so much, everyone. Again, thank you for your time. We truly learned a lot. Thank you. I shall see you all. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.